Welcome everybody back to Just Plain Stupid. Hey, listen, I got content for you guys and it comes from pilot error, pilot mistakes. Lump them all into one and you got the death of an FMS BAE Hawk. I want to share the story with you. Let's get a look at this thing. Using a LiPo battery checker every time you fly, it's going to save you a whole lot of this and a whole lot of heartbreak. I should take my own advice. Do as I say, not as I do, unless you like fixing BAE Hawks. What's even worse, in my radio case, by the way, everybody kind of knows this by now, the Apaches from Harbor Freight. You can detail it. Nice radio case here. Very cheap. There's my battery checker. If only I would have used the battery checker. But had the dead battery away, have my safety caps to remind me. Sometimes we make mistakes, and we're gonna have to deal with it. So here is my beloved FMS BAE Hawk. Plane easily has over 100 flights on this thing. I wish there was a better way to count them. I wish that I could keep track of my radio. I cannot. This is what this thing looks like. So we have a nose that's all munched up. We have some gear that's got stuff hanging off of it. This thing was monster trucking for sure. And then we have other retract wires hanging out of this thing on the bottom. You can see all the damage that's there, all the mud and gear doors busted off and everything else. So what's the story behind the BAE Hawk? I wish I had it on footage for you guys. But I don't. I spent the weekend flying over at a club event, flying like I always do. I'll run through 20-30 packs in a weekend, easy flying stuff. I got complacent. So when I have battery packs like so, you guys know that I use AMOS connectors. I put caps over the top of the charge leads, the positive leads. Red is no. Red means the pack is dead. I use a different color to signify that the pack is fully charged. On day 2 of the event, I like to do a lot of pre-checks. I do all my stuff at the very beginning. I don't do them before every flight. I had a set of batteries that I was discharging. I had a set that I was charging. Not only did I go to the wrong pile and pull the wrong battery out, I also ignored my safety backup, which is the colored cap. So I screwed this up twice, and I flew a plane on a dead pack. Needless to say, at about 22% left in a battery is where it normally comes down to. You're going to get about 1 minute and 30 seconds before you got 0 battery life left. And thus, I lost power of the BAE Hawk, made the turn. I thought I can make the field. Mistake, I don't know, 3 if you want to pile them on here. I decided to drop the retracts and try and make the field. So when it went in, all the gear dug into the ground. And chances are we could have avoided all of this mess had I not done that. Anyway, the end result is retracts with wires ripped out. I'm not sure if I'm going to take this apart and resolder those in there or not. But the question came down to, do I fix this? It has a lot of flights on it. Do I just pack it in and go get a new one? They are now available pretty much everywhere, $350. Or we can make another video on how we fix foamies. If you guys remember, link on how I fixed the Warthog, the A10. I had a similar incident with the A10, and you guys can see how this thing turned out. It was all completely busted up, and that's what she looks like now. So it is pretty much back to brand new, and now we have content at my expense. What have we broken out? The trusty steam bullet. Remember I showed you guys that in the A10 video on how to fix things. I have the Motion RC Benchcraft airbrush, and I'm going to show you how I do some of that stuff. I have my good friend, my foam tack glue, and with a combination of all that, maybe a couple fancy little carbon rods somewhere, we're going to put Frankenstein back together again. It's alive. Well, not yet, but hopefully. And let's not forget 2020 edition of Lowe's finest pinkish red paint. No, you can't really sniff this stuff. But anyway, $5, Lowe's, paint match, shooting it through the Benchcraft. You guys will like how this turns out really soon. Otherwise, check this out. So these are big figurines. I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet tall. The wife had these out in the garden and they completely turned white. They've been outside for a couple years and she was going to get rid of them. I said, don't get rid of them. I want to practice my airbrushing skills. That's what I've been working on, and that's what I've gotten them back to from just plain white. It's a good opportunity to practice, get used to the airbrush. I don't have a ton of experience with it. Practice mixing paints, colors, and finer detail. And so far, they're not done yet. I still have the faces and the white to touch up yet. But I'm pretty happy with them. If we can get the old BAE Hawk in the same condition, we're going to be back in shape again. So one of my favorite EDFs. Got to get this thing back in the air. Hope you guys join me. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow along in the adventure. So let's get to make it episode number 1.